Mr Chair, we're debating clauses 1 and 2 of this bill. That is the title and the commencement date. And I note that the Labor opposition have focused their efforts in renaming this bill. Sir, I'd like to focus on the second clause in this bill, which is the commencement date, because the substance, sir, of this bill starts on the 1st of October. I know that there are various provisions that come into effect by royal assent from the day after royal assent, but the substance of this bill commences on the 1st of October. We have a GST increase. Thank you, Mr Cosgrove. We have a GST increase on the 1st of October, and we have the start of the tax cuts, the personal tax cuts and the income tax cuts from the 1st of October. But, Mr Speaker, I'd like to suggest that this bill should actually start on the 1st of July. I actually think the country needs tax cuts on the 1st of July. And the reason I say that, sir, is that the National Party has been at pains. It has been at absolute pains over the last 4 months to say that if we go ahead with an increase in GST, we will make sure that there are at least equal compensating reimbursements or equivalent tax cuts. Well, sir, we've got another tax coming into effect on the 1st of July, and it's essentially the emissions trading tax. Now, I know the National Party don't like me referring to it as a tax, and yes, it's not a tax in the true sense of the word. It's not revenue collected by the government and redistributed, but it's a tax on electricity. The substance of it, sir, it's a tax on petrol, it's a tax on electricity. And so the Treasury estimate that the impact of that ETS tax is to add 5% to the price of electricity and 4 cents a litre to the price of petrol, and double that again, sir, on the 1st of January 2013. And so the effect of that, Reserve Bank tell us, that will add 0.4% to the cost of living, 0.4%. And that starts, sir, on the 1st of July. But, sir, we could actually bring it further forward. We could actually introduce those tax cuts in June because we already have Contact Energy, a company which generates electricity from gas, having to pay for its emissions on the 1st of July. But Contact Energy has already announced tariff increases from the middle of June. Well, naturally, the electricity companies aren't all going to come together and increase their prices on the 1st of July. So what's happened? Contact Energy's got the early running. They've moved 3 weeks before the 1st of July. So, sir, we don't actually need these tax reductions on the 1st of October. They need to be brought forward. They need to be brought forward to at least the 1st of July. Sir, finally, let me comment on the comments, the Minister's speech, from his budget speech. And he said, when referring to tax cuts, he said, first, for all income earners at all taxable income levels, the reduction in personal income tax will be sufficient to match the increase in GST. Mr Speaker, the reduction in personal income tax will be sufficient to match the increase in GST. And the Prime Minister, Cabinet Ministers, the Minister of Finance have been at pains over the last 3 or 4 months to say we're going to reimburse the increase in GST. The Prime Minister even went and gave a speech at North Shore Grey Power back in April. But what this government has continually refused to acknowledge, that we've got a tax going on electricity, a tax going on petrol, and those taxes are going to follow their way throughout the whole economy. And sir, that is putting a cost on everyone, every single individual in this country. Thank you, Mr Chair.
The Honourable David Cunliffe.
Chairman, at this title and commencement